So, let's set the scene. It's the spring of 1641, and a powerful lord, Hosokawa Tadatoshi, is on his deathbed. Now, his death isn't going to be some quiet affair. Nope. It's actually the first domino to fall in a tragic story of honor, loyalty, and bloodshed that's about to swallow an entire family whole.
Right, so during Lord Tadatoshi's cremation, someone in the crowd shouts. Everyone looks up, and as the smoke is rising, they see this incredible omen in the sky. It was a sign that perfectly captured the kind of fierce, absolute loyalty that he commanded from everyone and everything.
The mourners just stood there, completely stunned. You see, two of his most prized hunting hawks are circling the smoke from his pyre. And then, one after the other, they just dive straight down into a well on the temple grounds and vanish under the water.
To everyone watching, the meaning was crystal clear. The hawks had followed their master into death. It was a chilling reflection of a very real, very solemn ritual that was expected of the samurai who served him. So what exactly was this ritual, and why was it so critical? Let's get into it.
Okay, this brings us to a concept that's, well, it's absolutely central to understanding the world of the samurai. It's this code of following your lord, even into the afterlife. But here's the thing about Junshi. It wasn't something you could just decide to do. It was a massive honor that you had to beg for, and most importantly, your lord had to grant you permission while he was still alive. If you took your own life without that explicit okay, it wasn't seen as loyal at all. It was considered a dishonorable dog's death, a totally meaningless end. The story of this young retainer, Naito Chojuro, he was only 17. It shows you exactly how this worked. He begs his dying lord for permission, but as you see here, he's denied. Not once, but twice. But Chojuro doesn't give up. He presses his master's foot to his forehead, weeping, and finally, his sheer devotion moves Lord Tadatoshi, who gives him a solemn nod. The honor was granted.
So in the end, 18 of Lord Tadatoshi's most trusted retainers, including young Chojuro, were given this ultimate honor. They died with their duty done, their families were looked after by the clan, and their names went down in history as legends of loyalty.
But this explainer, it isn't really about those 18 men. It's about a man who wasn't among them. His name was Abe Yaichi, a senior vassal whose loyalty was, by all accounts, second to none.
Just like all the others, he pleaded for the honor of Junshi. But for some reason, Lord Tadatoshi refused him every single time. Instead, he gave him a direct order: live and serve my son, Mitsuhisa. This whole thing was part of this weird dynamic the two of them had, where the Lord just seemed to get a kick out of contradicting him. It was a habit that was about to have absolutely devastating consequences.
This slide really gets to the core of the problem, doesn't it? For those 18 guys, death was a celebrated public honor. But for Yaichi, being forced to live became a public disgrace. He was completely trapped. I mean, what do? Obey your lord's final command, or satisfy society's rigid expectation that a man of his status must die?
So as the 18 honored retainers committed ritual suicide one by one, Yaichi was left behind. And he had to face the judgment and the scorn of his peers. The whispers, the insults, it all just became unbearable.
Vicious rumors like this one started spreading, basically calling him a coward in the cruelest way possible. His honor, the single most valuable thing a samurai had, was being torn to shreds in public. And faced with that kind of shame, Yaichi decided he had to do something.
And this timeline, man, it shows just how fast things completely fell apart. It starts here, in May of 41. Yaichi, shamed and isolated, commits suicide without permission. But the new lord, Mitsuhisa, he doesn't see this as honorable. He sees it as defiance, so he punishes the entire Abe family, slashing their status. That leads to the next crisis point about a year later. Yaichi's son, Gonbei, protests the insult, and the new lord, totally enraged, has him executed like a common criminal. With their honor gone and their family name in disgrace, the Abe saw only one path left.
The rest of the Egg clan, now led by the second son, Yagohei, made a decision. They would rather die together on their own terms than live in what they felt was an intolerable, endless shame.
So, inside their mansion, the Abe family made their final, grim preparations. As this slide shows, they held one last feast. Then, on April 21st, 1642, the new lord sent an armed force to crush what he now saw as a full-blown rebellion. But before the main attack could even start, something truly surreal and tragic happened. The Abe's neighbor, a man who was also Yagohei's friendly spear-fighting rival, broke through the fence between their homes. See, they'd long promised each other a duel to the death someday. Well, that day had come. Madashiro fulfilled their promise, mortally wounding his friend before he himself was wounded in the fight. Then, the main assault began, and the commander of the force at the front gate, Takeuchi Kazuma. Now, this guy was secretly eaten up with shame for not having committed Junshi himself. He saw this battle as his one and only chance to find an honorable death. So he rushed in, seeking it, and he found it, along with a lot of his men.
The Abe brothers and what was left of their retainers fought with this incredible ferocity of men who had absolutely nothing left to lose. But in the end, they were just outnumbered. The mansion was set on fire, and in all that fire and chaos, the Abe clan was utterly annihilated.
And this chart really drives home the devastating cost. I mean, look at it. The Abe clan has 100% casualties. They're completely gone. But check out the attacking force. They lost key commanders and a ton of soldiers. This wasn't some clean victory. It was a bloody massacre. And it all started with one man's impossible choice.
The official records tell us what happened, but they can't really give us a simple answer for why. Was it a family's pride that couldn't bend? A young lord's insecurity? Or was the real villain here a rigid code of honor that left zero room for being human? Ultimately, the story of the Abe clan is just this tragic, brutal reminder of the devastating price of a code that could value death far more than life.